everybody, it's Anna. So I am hopping on here for a spontaneous live because I had a thought this morning that I thought I would share with you. If you do happen to catch me as I go live and you want to join, that'd be great. Just let me know you're here. And so if you notice my sound is off, well, my sound is off. You don't know that I'm saying this, but hopefully someone will tell me if the sound is bad. I remember I was in the middle of a live one time and I was maybe 15 minutes in and someone said, your sound's not working. So if you happen to be here, you can let me know that you can hear me. So the title of this live stream was Why I Don't Predict the Future with the Tarot. So if you spent much time with me, you probably recognize that that's not how I use the tarot. I don't use it for two reasons. Two things I don't use the tarot for. That is reading the future or reading somebody else. And kind of for similar reasons. I don't read other people, like someone says, well, how did they think about me? What are they going to do? I don't do that because it's none of your business, right? Every human, I believe, has the divine within them. Every human is their own actor, and it's not your business to venture into someone else's authority or someone else's, it's not the right word I'm trying to come up with. Anyway, it's not your prerogative to know that. Just like I wouldn't, it's kind of invading on their high balance. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm guessing you can, because you're not telling me you can't. So anyway, it's none of your business. And when everyone has the authority and the autonomy to make their own decisions and to create their own life. And you are welcome into that when they decide to welcome you in. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you, balance. So that's one. But the reason I don't read the future, when I don't use the tarot to predict the future, I was thinking this morning, I know that in a very simple way, the reason I don't do that is I don't think it's possible, because I believe we are creating right now. Our present choices create the future. There's not one stable future that's waiting for us to show up, right? But then I thought there's another reason why I think reading for the future or fortune telling is problematic. There's a new movie coming out. You might have seen it advertised. I've seen it some different places called Tarot, and it is like reading the future. And I just sort of laugh. I always laugh when I see tarot depicted like on movies or TV shows, because I think it just completely supports the ongoing bias that tarot is really spooky and creepy and crazy, anyway, dangerous. But anyway, that aside, there's a couple of reasons why I think using the cards to predict the future for me is problematic because of the work I'm doing. And that is one, that it implies that the path we are walking is already set for us, which means we have no authority. We're not actors. We are responders to the fact. Now that's okay if that's how you feel, that you're responding to destiny or fate or to God. That's all right. It's just not the kind of work that I do. I do work in empowering people to co-create with the universe, not just respond to the universe. So my idea is that we're co-creating, right? Now, as we co-create, we don't actually know. We are co-creating with mystery. So that means even though we're making choices and we're taking steps, we don't really know where it's going. And that means we're walking into the unknown. We're actually walking into mystery, which is anxiety producing for the mind. So I think pulling cards for the future is a way of falsely comforting the mind. So the mind doesn't like the fact that it doesn't have predictability, that it doesn't have a guarantee of where we're going, right? The mind doesn't like that. Understood. Because the mind is acclimated to a physical world where the unknown could be concealing a predator, right? The mind's worried about us dying. So it's worried about the unknown, right? So reading for the future is a way of telling the mind, oh, there's a guarantee. This is the path. You don't have to even worry about this because it's guaranteed to you, which is one thing. I don't think that's true, but also you're training the mind actually to live in resistance to its own discomfort. When I pull the Three of Swords, which is it's the heart with the swords piercing it, three swords piercing it. I talk about how it looks like it's about heartbreak, but really it's about the mind learning that it doesn't know what's going to happen next, and teaching the mind to trust in what it doesn't understand, which is actually the guidance of the intuition. The intuition is from the spirit world, right? So it's sort of pulling in purpose and instincts. But again, even as we follow our intuition, we don't know what the conclusion of that will be. So the mind has to learn how to make peace with the fact that it doesn't know what's going to happen. The way I work with it, right? Because if you're an intuitive creator, pretty much you're always doing this. You're very, very seldom are you walking a path that is predictable or a path that other people have set for you, right? Which means you're asking the mind to, like, on a regular basis, walk into the unknown. So for the mind to do that, we have to train it to get good at this, which means we don't coddle it and give it false comfort in any assurances. We're not saying, "Oh, if you take these 3 steps, you'll definitely do this," right? That's giving the mind false assurances, and it's also teaching the mind to be resistant to its own discomfort, if that makes sense. So, hi FB. Um, so there's 2 reasons why I think you can't predict the future. I don't predict the future. Because I don't think it's I wouldn't trust myself. If I was predicting the future, I wouldn't believe me. Okay. And it is because, one, you are creating the future. I believe we are creating the future. You're doing it either consciously or unconsciously. Now, when you're unconsciously creating the future, which means you don't realize you're doing it, you are likely participating in patterns, which means those actually can be kind of predictable. Like, you keep encountering the same challenges, right? Over and over. Not because the challenges are yours, but because you're not aware you are creating them, right? So my goal with my clients is to help them consciously create, which means the mind has to face head on the fact that it doesn't know what's happening. And as you break old patterns, something new is going to happen. We don't quite know what that's going to be, but we're asking the mind to trust it anyway and to go for it. That's asking the mind to walk in faith. So one thing is, we are creating the future. We are co-creators with the future. Secondly, we are in a universe that's full of mystery. And because we have agreed to be in human form, we see a small slice, our perspective is a small slice of that experience, right? Which means there's lots of things happening that we will never understand or be privy to. So we're not by ourselves in our own little universe, doing our own thing. We are co-creating, but we're co-creating in a very, very complex system that has its own purpose and agenda. And we are functioning inside of that. That means that we cannot predict how our co-creation interacts with the co-creation of other people or the intention of the universe. So there's so much unknown here. And I feel like what's valuable is to help the mind get comfortable with the unknown. Now, the reason the mind is uncomfortable is often because it's scared or it's in pain. The reason we have resistance, when something happens to us that we did not want, did not expect, or is causing us pain, we want to escape the moment. Fair, right? Of course, we want to escape the moment. Reading for the future offers an escape from the moment, right? Because, but in a week, in a month, in a year, this will change. So now you're agreeing with the mind to live outside in the future, which, by the way, doesn't exist, right? You're asking the mind actually to delude itself because it's trying to escape this present moment. Instead of supporting the mind in escaping the present moment, my goal is to help the mind feel loved and safe in the present moment, even in its own confusion or frustration or pain. How can we love the mind in the present moment? Help the mind stay here. Right here is where we are. This is what's happening. And it's okay to rage. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to scream and cry. And whatever we need to do, that's fine and it's safe because the mind is held by, I like the idea of, I use the terminology of the soul. We have the divine within us is there for the mind. So the mind learns that whatever happens, the soul is there for it. It is safe. Even in the most unsafe feelings it has, it is safe because the soul, the God within us, never abandons it. So I'm trying to train my mind, and I help my clients train their minds to help the mind know that all is well, even if everything around you argues the opposite. So the mind gets used to feeling that all is well, which means the mind can stay present in the present moment rather than jumping on ahead, worrying about what's going to happen. How are we going to fix this problem? How are we going to cure the present moment with the future? Instead, stays here. And here is where all the action steps are. If we can stay present right here and right now, we are accessing what is possible. Here is where the magic is. If the mind jumps out of the present moment, it is losing track of the magic. I'm not saying magic can't still happen, but the mind's not aware of it because the mind's worrying about what's going to happen in a year. So it's sort of separated from the magic. We don't want the mind to be separated from the magic. We want the mind to be a witness and a participant in the magic. So 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 I don't want to I don't want to be part of the reason minds are encouraged to leap out of their real power. I want to help minds feel confident staying in the present moment, however bad it is, however bad it feels, so that they can access whatever is available. And maybe all that's available in that moment is comfort. I say all as though that's a small thing. It's a huge thing. When the mind is stressed and upset and painful, and the soul comes in and offers it a space to cry in, to rest in, that is magic. That is magic. So even if all we're doing is helping the mind know it is loved in the middle of crisis, that's huge. That's actually the main magic of the spiritual journey, is that unconditional love, which says, you are always safe. I will never leave you. You're free. You're free to be where you are. Now, I don't believe that I don't believe the future is set for us, because I believe we are co-creators. But I do believe in Dharma, which is the idea that you're born on the planet for a purpose, which means you are specially equipped and specially challenged to do something pretty specific on the planet. And your intuition's constantly trying to guide in that direction. You're constantly, your intuition's instincts are to hone in on this path of Dharma, which is why those of us who are body or heart intuitives, we have to learn how to listen to that language, because it's not the same language as the linear language of the mind, right? Which means that, so you're kind of, you can feel yourself sort of swiveling forward, finding this path of Dharma. Now, so that is something that was established, I think, between us and the universe before we became human on the planet, which means the mind was not part of that conversation. The mind is the human part of us is part of the physical world. It wasn't part of this conversation. So your mind doesn't start off knowing what your purpose is, right? But it's there. And I think that you can feel kind of corrections happening in your life where you're going to go this direction, but it doesn't work, and you end up doing this direction. And you sort of find yourself like wobbling forward into your purpose on the planet. So I do believe there is a trajectory of our lives that is purposeful. But we have to decide to walk it. And so my work with people, whenever I do pull spreads, really what I'm trying to do is surface an understanding of the Dharma path, which means whatever ideas our mind has, whatever expectations or plans it has, we kind of let them go if they don't match the Dharma path, right? So that's the idea, is we're trying to figure out. So if something happens and it's not what I wanted, it's not, and my mind's really upset about it, we want to help the mind. It's the Three of Swords again. Let go of the expectation the mind had, because there is a purposeful path, and we want to stay light on our feet and relaxed enough to respond to that path. It may turn out we don't get the life we thought we wanted or needed, right? So I've always had a funny relationship with money. Like literally, it's very odd. It's a very odd I kind of ignore money, and it just shows up when I need it. That's kind of how it is. Now, when I married my husband, he's very linear. I thought, okay, now we're going to do money his way, which is a linear path of like, you know how much you've got, you budget or you plan or you whatever. Okay. It was completely disastrous for us, because it was just like, it didn't work. Right. And my husband was stressed all the time. I was stressed all the time. And finally I said, you know what? I just need to, we need to go back to the way I do money, which is basically trusting money to flow in so I don't watch my money. I just sort of follow my instincts of whatever purchasing looks like or whatever I'm going to do. And I trust the money to flow in. Right. So that's a certain kind of, why was I talking about that? I had a purpose of bringing that up. this is the problem with live streams, right? And the problem with the fact that I'm almost 50 is I had a reason for that. Okay, anyway. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. So I'm almost 50, right? And my daughter is in college now. And so I am paying for her to go to college. That's in my business, that's my job. Or I agreed to do this. So I'm like, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Okay, I need to change my relationship with money, right? I need to change this. I need to like learn, become money literate. And so I took a class and I got money, and I am more money literate, which is true. But the money didn't change. So the way money works for me is it flows in as I ask for it. So actually I spend money. I'm not saying anybody should do it this way. I'm just saying this is my relationship to money. I spend money and the money shows up for that. So I can't plan ahead. I can't save money and then buy something. I have to go ahead and make the purchase and then the money flows in. That's just how it works. So I thought, well, good. Now I'm money literate. I'm going to develop a new relationship with money, and I'm going to start saving money. That's what I'm thinking. And eventually, I will become more like normal people. Like maybe I'll have a retirement account, and maybe I'll do this, and maybe. So I'm like, okay. My mind's kind of going, okay, good. We made it through these sort of weird, spontaneous, magical money years. Now we're going to get into like normal money behavior, right? Um, So, as you might guess, it doesn't work for me, right? Because I do have money in savings, but then I use it because I use it right away, and usually I'm using it for the college. So my mind. So I told my husband a few months ago, I'm like, you know what? We're just never going to have extra money. I was like, let's just let go of this as an expectation, because that is not how money works with me. It does not sit and gather and collect and gather. It doesn't do that. It's like, well, money is energy, right? My money has to be in flow, just like my energy has to be in flow, right? I can't save it, store it. It's gonna call itself out away from me. And then it's gonna call itself back to me. But it was funny because my mind was like, oh yeah, I thought for a minute there we were gonna be like normal. And no, we're not. So again, my mind will occasionally go, oh, now we're gonna sort of settle into something. And but and we can for a while. We can do it until the path of Dharma calls us to something else. And so I think we want the mind to not get obsessed with its own expectations or desires. Also, the reason we have expectation, the reason the mind does get sort of hyper focused on things is because it sees that expectation, or the working out of its expectations, as an answer to pain. Usually the reason people want money is they're anxious. They want to not be anxious, and think if they have enough money they won't be anxious. But the real issue isn't money doesn't solve anxiety. The mind's anxiety is solved by offering it love, by helping it know it is safe. And that's separate from it. You can have all the money in the world and not solve anxiety if your mind doesn't know it is loved and safe and held in unconditional divine love, which is what we can offer it. So to me, all of the answers that the mind's looking for comes from this relationship that we cultivate with the mind when it is struggling, not encouraging it to jump ahead into the future for some theoretical solution, which may not come. And even if it does come, it won't solve the problem. It won't solve the problem. Instead, we sit here in this present moment where the magic is, and we look for the way to support ourselves and love ourselves. And whatever action steps we can take in the present moment that will help us get freer, help us open up to more love, help us get into flow in a more positive way. So that's the spreads I use. So if people are asking for the future, well, I don't even entertain that. I just say I don't. Because if you're asking for what's going to happen in the future, your mind's probably pretty set on that. I don't argue with minds that are set, right? If this is what you want, if your mind's telling me I've got to know this answer, I honor that. Your mind's telling me what it wants, but you can find someone to do that for you. But my goal, my purpose and goal on the planet is to help people align with their Dharma path, which is we're trying to pull up insight, pull up support, pull up action steps in this present moment that are loving, that increase our ability to love ourselves and increase our ability to feel safe in the world and to receive love from the universe. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I can help you figure out what you need right now. And if you give yourself what you need right now, you are setting yourself up for a better tomorrow. And better, I don't know what that looks like, right? But I do believe it's better. I do have an experience that tells me that when I take the the power of the present moment, the opportunity of the present moment, and I invest in whatever way I'm called to, the next day is a little better. And my mind gets better. It gets better and better at kind of living in the unknown, the mystery, and trusting that all is well. So, um, yeah, FB says most 90% tarot readers on YouTube are predicting the future. Yeah, I mean, and you can see why, right? Because that predicting the future is a soothing activity, right? It's soothing. And a lot of people need soothing. And, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. My husband is a pastor and he is brilliant at soothing people, right? He's so good at it. And it's such an incredible gift, right? I am, though, not a soother. I'm a disruptor. All right. So like people come to me when they don't, in fact, none of my clients would be ticked off at me if I tried to soothe them. Because they're like, no, I want to move stuff around. I want to take action. Those are my clients, right? So they would not jive with me trying to soothe them, right? But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with soothing. It's just not my role on the planet. So yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna say you were talking about episodes, you were talking about life purpose. Yeah. Yeah. I think of Dharma as your life purpose, right? And it's so funny how people get caught in like, what's my life purpose? Which, by the way, even asking that means that's the mind saying, tell me what my purpose is. And being able to say, well, I don't know. And the only reason I know what I'm here to do is I've just been doing it for a while. My mind goes, oh, we seem to be doing this. I guess that's my life purpose. And my mind has to be cool with the fact that the structure of this life purpose might shift suddenly. So like I'm always like, well, I seem to be doing it this way, but I don't know what I'll be doing in the future. So because the Dharma path isn't about a certain career or a certain relationship, it's about a certain emanation of gift. And that gift will shift and move because we are in a physical world and the physical world kind of morphs things, right? So sometimes the gift might show up this way and sometimes this way. And so the mind can't get caught in like, oh, it looks this way now, it will always look this way. Maybe not. It's a river and it's sort of diverting and we're just following the river, if that makes sense. Devon says, absolutely love your channel. Oh, good. I'm glad. And love from the universe. I don't know how to say it. Om Namah Shivaya. I think it's a blessing. So anyway, I just wanted to share, because I have said before, usually I just say, well, I don't want to predict the future because the future is in flux. I do think that's true. But the further reason I don't want to predict the future is I feel like it's disempowering. It's disempowering because it's getting us to focus on what is being given to us. The universe is giving us this or has this in mind for us. And we're just, we're on a boat and we're floating downstream. Someone else is in charge of the river and in the steering. And as an assertive energy, which is what I am, and my clients are usually assertives, we don't like to say that we're not in charge of something, but also, I think it also helps the mind to practice escapism. Sometimes the mind needs to escape. So I'm not saying soothing is inherently bad. Sometimes the mind is overwhelmed and it needs to escape. And I want to honor that in people. If you're showing me your mind needs to escape reality, that is your call. And I'm not going to push reality in your face. I'm not going to argue with you about that, right? But my general work is not to help the mind escape, but to help the mind feel confident and supported as it engages the present moment, because that's where we can make choices. And I guess that's my calling on the planet. So if that's my calling on the planet, I'm not going to step out and do something that's not my calling on the planet because I'm stepping out of my own calling. And also someone else is I'm taking over somebody else's role. If you need comforting, go talk to somebody who's a comforter. If you need soothing, there are great people out there to do that. Yeah, find those people. I'm not going to be helpful in that way. So anyway, I guess I'm going to stop for now. Thank you for those of you who jumped in on me. Hi, Bonzo, who are here and contributed. But what is reality really? I'm not sure what you're asking. I mean, right now, reality is for me is I'm a spirit on the physical plane and I'm manifesting on the physical plane. I think that when we talk about reality, we're probably Our minds are talking about the physical plane, right? So I think there's value in the physical plane. And that's why I like the major arcana card of temperance, right? Which is 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the land. The reason we're here is because I believe what happens on the physical plane transforms the universe. This is the place where things can grow and expand and change and innovate. In the spiritual plane, nothing can change because it's very stable, right? There's no growth, there's no death, there's no challenge, there's no gravity, there's no density, right? So there's no way to have a miracle where there's no limits, right? But miracles happen on the physical plane because it is encountering challenge. And I think that there's the passage in the Bible, which, I'm trained I have a master's of divinity. So I'm more familiar with the Christian text, but it says that whatever, this is Jesus talking to the disciples, I think after his resurrection, where he says, whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven, right? Which means what you're doing here resonates throughout the universe. So I feel like this is just my own mind's interpretation of things. My mind goes, if my mind is fearful and feels limited and stuck, and I, from my soul space, talk to my mind, clear it up, free it up from old stuff, help it to feel loved and supported, what I just did for my mind reverberates throughout the universe. There is more love. There is more possibility. There is more expansion because of what I did. I think we are representatives of the universe on the physical plane doing the work of transformation and creation. That's why we only do it for a while, because it's really hard. This is really hard stuff. And I think that's also why the universe has our back, because it is rooting for us as we are able to kind of engage these challenges with love and help our minds feel more safe and clever and innovative. The universe gets lighter and bigger and more and brighter. That's my own theory. So I'm not a person who thinks this is like physical plane is just illusion. I think this is where creation happens. This is where expansion happens. And so what we're doing here is, as representatives of the universe, we've come into the physical plane to help grow the universe, to help clear it up, to help it become more beautiful and more flowing. So anyway, that's my theory. So, all right. Well, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me on the Spontaneous Live, and I'll see you soon. Bye.